So of course this deck needs no introduction by now. Azamina, Fiendsmith, Snake Eyes, the most played deck on Master Duel by far, especially the Azamina engine. You know, everyone knows how broken this engine is now, right? It searches your full combo and puts up an Omni Negate before you even normal summon, right? So clearly this is broken. However, what if I told you that top players are actually dropping the Azamina engine in favor of something else? And that something else is none other than our favorite Exodia cards, the Millennium engine. And in fact, last season, there were 2 Snake Eyes decks in the top 10 of rated duels, and neither of them used the Azamina engine. Both of them were on the Millennium engine. So, if you've been playing a fair bit of ladder recently, then you've probably already encountered these Millennium cards being splashed in a bunch of combo decks. So, what does the Millennium engine do, and what makes it so good? So, essentially the engine is 1 Wedgie Temple plus any number of Sang Engine and any number of Golem that you want. So you can run like any ratio of these. You can run like 3-3, you can run 2-3, 2-2, 3-2, 3-1, whatever you want. It depends on just how much you actually want to see this engine. But how this works is you either start with Sang Engine or you start with Golem, and then you put them in the spell and trap zone because that's how these cards work. And then you special summon them. If you start with Sang Engine, you just go Sang Engine, add Golem, place Golem, special Golem, add Wedgie Temple, and activate Wedgie Temple. Put any monster in your spell and trap zone, and then place another Millennium card in your spell and trap zone as well. And then you have 2 bodies plus Wedgie plus 2 monsters in the spell and trap zone. If you start with Golem, then you would do Golem, add Tempo, place Sang Engine, special Sang Engine, add another copy of Sang Engine, and then place the Sang Engine in the back row. So either way, you should have, by the end of that, you should have 1 Sang Engine, 1 Golem, plus a Wedgie Temple, plus 2 monsters in your spell and trap zone. And with those 2 monsters in your spell and trap zone, you're going to send to the grave to special summon Snake Eyes Doom Dragon. This card is completely cracked. And the only reason you haven't heard about this card more often is because this card came out way too late in both TCG and OCG. Like literally, this came out in the TCG after original Silver Spoils was already banned, and this came out in the OCG after Snake Eyes was already turned into a Highlander deck. You know, they already limited the Die Battlestar Bonfire, literally every card, and Raizio was out. So in both paper formats, by the time this card was released, Snake Eyes was largely irrelevant as a meta threat in their formats. That's not the case here. We just got the Snake Eyes Doom Dragon right now in the middle of all of this Millennium and Fiends stuff. But by the way, we also did this card. We got this card at the same time as the TCG, by the way, just like Poplar. So, you know, just putting that out there. And this card is the key to why the Millennium engine is so broken, because you can special summon this card by sending 2 face-up monsters from your spell and trap zone to the graveyard. They don't have to be continuous spells. Like that doesn't matter for this deck, but just in general, if they're even continuous traps, like if they're like Centurion cards, you can also send them. It doesn't matter if they're continuous spells or not. They just have to be in your spell and trap zone. And yeah, so you have the Golem, the Sang Engine, and then you send the 2 monsters in your back row to get the Snake Eyes Doom Dragon. So then you have 3 monsters on the field without normal something. So then you have like a multitude of options. You have a 2 level 8s plus a level 6. So immediately, if you have any other starter, like if you have any Snake Eyes cards at all, you can just overlay into Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon with 2 level 8s, and then normal summon or do any of your Snake Eyes starters, and then you can do your full Snake Eyes combo, your full whatever combo you want with the protection of Photon Lord, plus you have an extra body on the field in the Golem, plus you have a extra Wedgie Temple on the field that you can send for free for all your Snake Eyes effects, like Die Battlestar, like original Sinful Spoils. Like if you play this in White Forest, you know, obviously you can just send the Wedgie Temple for free for your White Forest effects. You have all of that. And if you don't have a starter, if you don't have another starter, that's completely fine, because you know what, you have 3 bodies in the field. So what does 3 bodies in the field mean? That means you have full Fiendsmith combo. So even if you don't open a starter, just opening any Millennium card gets you the Fiend Sieve combo, which gets you the Beatrice, because Beatrice is still legal, which then gets you to any combo you want in the game, pretty much. So you still have full Snake Eyes combo, you still have full White Force combo by just opening a single Millennium card. So yeah, that's the gist of why this engine is so good and how people are generally using this card, this engine. So now, specifically in Snake Eyes, why are people cutting the Azamina engine for the Millennium engine? You know, why is the Millennium engine suddenly better than the Azamina engine, according to top players? So, first off, it's actually just it gets you better deck building numbers. This actually, by using the Millennium engine, you actually get more starters and less bricks. So, even this minimal engine, which runs 2-2, again, there are other ratios that other people have run. They've run 3-1, they've run 3-2, they've run any number of Golem and Sang-Engine, but yeah, Golem and Sang-Engine are both starters. They're extenders as well, but they're all starters. Weiju Tempo itself is also a starter, and this is a pretty minimal engine too, with only 2 copies of Sang-Engine and 2 copies of Golem. If you wanted to, you could even bump these ratios up even further and run up to 3 Sang-Engine and 3 Golem, and that way you would have up to 7 additional starters and extenders from the Millennium engine. Compare that to the Azamina engine, where you can only run up to 3 additional starters with this engine, which is 3 Deception, and then along with Deception you have to run the Hal Azamina, and the Hal Azamina is the card that you don't want to draw. This card is a complete brick. If you don't draw this with Deception, chances are you won't have another Symbol Spoils to send with this, which means that this card literally does nothing. So, in comparison, the Azamina engine gives you 3 additional starters and 1 brick, whereas the Millennium engine gives you anywhere from 5 to 7 additional starters and 0 bricks. So yeah, that's one reason why like the Millennium engine is just better main deck cards, better deck building ratios than the Azamina engine. Number 2 is that the Millennium engine actually plays around hand traps better than the Azamina engine, in the fact that the problem with the Azamina engine, and Deception in particular, is that Deception tributes a monster for cost. So if the Deception resolves, obviously it's very powerful, but a lot of times it's not gonna resolve because look at all the hand traps people are playing this format. Okay, so a lot of times Deception is gonna get hand trapped. If Deception gets hand trapped, you just went a bit minus, because not only did your Deception get stopped, but you also lost the monster from your hand. Whereas if they try to hand trap your Millennium monster, your Sang-Engine or your Golem, then you don't lose anything. You don't have to discard a card or like tribute a monster for cost for these. So oftentimes, you can start with Sang-Engine, you start with Golem, and then if they have Ash, they have to Ash it right there. Because if they don't Ash it, then you're just gonna get a bunch of free cards for free, and they're gonna have to Ash you down the line anyways, because you're gonna threaten the Photon Lord, which checks the Ash anyways. But if they do hand trap these, then you didn't lose an extra card on top of that. So it's nice. It's less costly when you do get hand trapped, and it forces out hand traps as well. It's forced out hand traps in a similar way that the Azamina engine does, in the sense that the Deception engine is gonna end with a negate on board, but the Millennium engine is also going to get you a negate on board for hand traps too. And the big thing is the hand trap that's been picking up in popularity a lot last month was Retaliating Sea. Retaliating Sea is a card that was designed that's being played specifically to counter the Azamina cards. Okay, you chain Retaliating Sea to a Hal Azamina, it's devastating. You lose your Hal Azamina and you lose your Deception forever. They don't come back. You don't have access to your fusions. You never get to summon the fusion out since these get banished instead of being sent to the grave. And then you also have to play with a macro on the field. A lot of times when this resolves versus an Azamina deck, it's not only just turn ending, it's game ending. However, the Millennium engine, if your opponent thinks they're slick, they're trying to counter your Snake Eyes deck, to counter your White Forest deck with Retaliating Sea because they think it's good versus Azamina cards. Well, this card is not good against the Millennium cards, because the Millennium cards, they don't trigger Retaliating Sea. These are, when they're in the spell and trap zone, they're activating a spell effect to special summon themselves. However, they're not activating a card itself because the card has already been activated. And therefore, because Retaliating Sea can only be changed to when a card is activated, it means you can't use Retaliating Sea. So Retaliating Sea essentially turned from a turn-ending high-impact hand trap into basically a dead card, because the only other card in this deck now, after cutting the Azamina engine, that can actually trigger Retaliating Sea is Original Symbol Spoils. And if you go for Original Symbol Spoils, chances are you're going to have a Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord on the field already by that time. So you already have, by the time they can activate Retaliating Sea, you're going to have a check for it. Also, a lot of your combos don't even need to use Original Symbol Spoils at all, because the Fiendsmith engine doesn't trigger Retaliating Sea, and the Snake Eyes engine, if you go through Temple of the Snake Eyes, also does not trigger Retaliating Sea. So this, essentially the hand trap that was literally played to exactly counter this specific deck, ends up not doing anything versus this deck. And the third reason why the Millennium engine is being favored over the Azamina engine now, the first two being better starter to brick ratio, better deck building ratios, and then 2 is playing better around hand traps, especially Retaliating Sea. The third reason is that it just saves you a bunch of extra deck space, because there's another cost associated with the Azamina engine, is that you have to use both Ilya Sylvia and Murcielago in your extra deck. 2 extra deck slots. In a deck that already is filled to the brim with necessary extra deck cards. There's very little actual flex slots that you can play in Snake Eyes already, because you have to fit in all the Snake Eyes cards. Then you have to fit in all the Fiendsmith cards as well, and the Fiendsmith engine, takes quite a bit of space. So by using the Millennium engine, you don't have to. You save 2 slots in your extra deck, which is a pretty big deal, in a deck with that has a very, very full extra deck. So it gives you room to run the Photon Lord, so you can still make up for not having. You can make up for the negate from Ilya Sylvia, but you also get another free slot too. So, yeah, those are reasons why this Millennium engine has been seeing tons of play and has basically usurped the Azamina engine in a lot of the popular combo decks. But, anyways, I'm actually going to show you a couple combos with the Millennium cards in the Snake Eyes deck to show you exactly why these cards are so good for these combo decks. So first combo is going to be when you open a Millennium card plus any other 1-card starter that gets you to your Snake Eyes combo. So for example, we have Diabell cards, could be like Bonfire, Ash, any of those cards. So here, since you don't have to use the Millennium cards to start your play, you can use your Millennium cards to insulate your Snake Eyes combo from hand traps. So we're going to start with Golem, and then you're going to Special Golem, pay 2k, and then add the Wedju Temple. And now you're going to Wedju Temple, you're going to place any monster from your hand. So since I have 2 Ash, I'll just place one of the Ashes, and then place Sengenjin from deck. And then activate Sengenjin's effect to special summon itself. And here, you're going to add a second copy of Sengenjin. If you started with Sengenjin, then it would still work, you wouldn't have to add the second Sengenjin, you would just place another Sengenjin from deck off the Wedju Temple. You get to the same result. So here we're going to place the second Sengenjin in the Spell and Trap Zone. And now we're going to special summon Doom Dragon by sending both monsters in the Spell and Trap Zone. And don't use this effect right now. Those of you who don't know, Doom Dragon also has the Flamebird's effect on summon, but you can also place your own monsters, so don't accidentally Doom Dragon place your own monsters. I've seen many people do that on ladder and proceed to shame scoop right after, so don't be one of those people. And since we already have another starter in our hand, we can don't have to do anything fancy, just overlay Sengenjin plus Doom Dragon into Photon Lord. And now we have a protection from hand traps now, without even normal summon, without starting any of our plays. And now that we have the Photon Lord on the field, we can use Diabell Star. We're going to send the Wedju Temple. Another reason why this engine is good is because on top of, getting us the Photon Lord, we have a free card to send off for the Diabell Star or Original Symbol Spoils in Wedju Temple, and we also have a free body on the field in Golem, which is going to come up later. So first we're going to Diabell Star, place Original Symbol Spoils, and we're going to Original Symbol Spoils, place sack Diabell Star for the Ash, and we're gonna do the Snake Eyes Fiendsmith line that you all know and love. I sincerely hope none of you are bored of this yet, because we're gonna be seeing this for at least another month. So yeah, add Poplar, special Poplar, get the other tempo from the deck, because we do run 2 tempos in our deck now. So we can no longer refer to Snake Eyes tempo as tempo, because we wouldn't know which tempo you would be referring to if you just say tempo. But yeah, we're gonna use tempo, place the Die Bellstar, and then Snake Eye Ash and the Die Bellstar to summon the Oak, preferably from deck, but you know, from hand it also works. And then Oak, special summon back the Ash, special summon the Ash, and you're gonna link Ash plus Poplar into Moon, and then Poplar is gonna place the Snake Eye Die Bellstar back in your spell and trap zone, and then Moon is gonna go into getting ahead of myself here. It's gonna go into the Requiem first, then Requiem for Engraver. Yeah, Engraver. And then Requiem is gonna equip from Grave to the Engraver. And now you're gonna use Oak to send the Requiem for free to summon the Flambird from deck. And now you're gonna link off the Golem plus the Fiendsmith Engraver into the sequence. And you're going to use sequence to fusion summon into Lacrima by putting back Requiem and Moon. And then Lacrima is going to add the Engraver from Grave to hand. Don't special summon it. And here, Engraver, you're going to pitch the Engraver to add the Tract. And you're going to activate Tract to add Lurie, and then discard Lurie. And that's going to special summon the Lurie. And now you're going to link the Lurie into a Linkaribo to put the Lurie in Grave. So that now we can shuffle back the Lurie for the Engraver so we can special summon back in the Engraver. And this is a line that you haven't normally done in Snake Eyes Fiendsmith in Master Duel, because we don't have the other Lacrima, we don't have Necroquip, so it's a bit harder to do this. But since the Millennium engine provides us the extra body, well, we can do this play. So this play actually helps us play around not just one hand trap, it helps us play through 2 hand traps in the form of, if our opponent has Imperm and Nib as well, we can also have a way to play around Imperm and Nibiru. Because if you notice, we haven't triggered Flameburst's effect yet. So if they nib us at any point, we still have the Die Bellstar in the Spell and Trap Zone, and we still have the Flamebird that's going to float in 2 more monsters. So we can still play through a potential Nibiru Imperm as well. And to solidify that, we're going to use Track's Engrave effect, because you can fusion summon with monsters on your field into a Fiendsmith fusion monster. So we're going to banish Tract, and we're going to fusion summon into Desiree using Engraver, Lacrima, plus Sequence. And now we're going to do not use Lacrima's effect here. Do not use Lacrima's effect, because we don't have enough any more Light Fiend monsters. But we're going to equip Sequence to the Desiree. So at this point, even if they had a Imperm plus Nibiru, we would still have a way to play around them. And the key thing is because this line lets us make Desiree plus Photon Lord before we link off our Flambirds, and before we summon our Die Bellstar from the Spell and Trap Zone as well. So, yeah, and now that we have both these negates on the board, we're going to use Snake Eye Die Bellstar, and you can place any Snake Eyes monster in your Spell and Trap Zone. Does not really matter which one, so we'll just play the Poplar and then special Die Bellstar. And then Die Bellstar, Flambird plus Linkaribo is going to link into a Promethean Princess, and then Flamebird is finally going to trigger, and we're going to special back our other 2 level 1s. Make sure you summon one of the level 1s into a zone that Promethean Princess points to, just because we need the link arrows. And then Promethean Princess, special summon back the Flambird. And now, of course, we have Desiree effect. You know, the totally not exploitative at all. We're going to use Desiree to negate our Peruvian Princess. And now we can link into IP with Oak plus Ash. And now we're going to go into Appaloosa with IP Masquerena plus Peruvian Princess. So now, well, whoops, use the Peruvian Princess as 3 material plus IP Masquerena. So now we have Appaloosa that's protected from destruction. It's indestructible. And now we use Flambirds to place the IP back in our spell and trap zone. So yeah, this is what you can get when you have Millennium and when you have the Millennium Engine plus any 1-card Snake Eyes starter. And you know, this line is it has the classic end board. You know, it has Desiree, Appaloosa, IP Masquerena, Temple plus negate, except this time instead of being Ilya Sylvia from the Azamina engine, we have Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord from the Millennium engine. And this is the safest combo you can do in the deck, because this line plays around the most hand traps, because we just put the Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord on the 4th summon before we literally did anything, and then before we linked out the Flambird, we made the Desiree as well, just to play around potential Inpern plus Nibiru as well. So yeah, that's yeah, it shows that even when you're not running the Azamina engine, you're not missing much end board wise when you replace it with the Millennium engine. So, and arguably it's better because you played around hand traps a bit better with the Millennium engine. So yeah, that's combo 1. So for the second combo, we're going to show how to bridge the Millennium engine into the Snake Eyes engine. And all you need is any Millennium card to basically do full Snake Eyes combo. Like this Engraver right here, we're going to ignore this Engraver. This Engraver doesn't exist. So you can have Sangagen, Golem, or even Wedju Tempo work. So since we did open Tempo, I'm just going to activate Tempo. If we didn't open Tempo, you would do Sangagen, add Golem, Golem, add Tempo, so on and so forth. You know how that works, right? But since we already have the Tempo, no need to waste another monster in hand. Might as well just start with Tempo, Wedju Tempo, place the Sangagen, and then place Golem from deck, and then special Sangagen, and you can add either a Golem or another Sangagen into hand. This doesn't really matter, so I'll just add another Golem, and then I'm gonna special the Golem. Since we already have Tempo, we can't research anything, but it's fine. And now we're going to link these two into Moon of the Closed Heaven. Also we're gonna end up using Golem anyway, so we're gonna put Golem in the back, or even though we can't summon it, we're gonna put it here anyways for the combo. And then we go Engraver. Or I keep saying Engraver, Jesus Christ. I mean Requiem. Every time I say Engraver, just pretend I say Requiem, because that's all this card does. It's all, this card is basically just Engraver anyway. So yeah, you go Requiem into the Engraver, Jesus Christ, and like hopefully you don't have to mention like I do. And then you're going to equip Requiem from the grave to the Engraver. And what's that gonna do? That's gonna allow you to special summon your Snake Eyes Doom Dragon, because now you have two monsters in your spell and trap zone, so now you get to summon this level 8 body for free. Yeah, how did anyone ever think this card was bad? So yeah, anyway, that's the reason why even Wedju Temple is full combo, because now that we have another body, we can link off the Engraver into Sequence. And this is much better than the Engraver combo, as you're about to see. So we're going to use Sequence, and we're going to make Lacrima, putting back Requiem plus Closed Moon, Closed Heaven, Moon of the Closed Heaven, and then Lacrima effect, we're going to add the Engraver to hand. And we can do this, we don't have to summon the Lacrima with the Engraver yet, because we actually haven't used the Engraver's effect, but we're going to use Engraver, Hitch, to add Tract, and we're going to activate Tract, get the Lurie, then dump the Lurie, and Lurie is going to special summon itself, and we're going to link off the Lurie into a Linkuriboh. And that's going to, now that the Lurie is engraved for the Engraver, now we can shuffle back the Lurie to summon back the Engraver. So we get an extra body, we get the extra Linkuriboh to play with. And here's the real reason why this combo is so much better than the normal Engraver line. So you're going to Exceed into Beatrice obviously with these two. And normally here at this point when you make Beatrice, okay, and you send from deck, you're used to sending Snake Eye Ash, right? In a normal line where you go Beatrice, because then you're going to link off into Promethean Princess, and Promethean Princess is going to revive the Ash, then you have combo that way. The problem with that combo is that the sequencing is a bit awkward, because you have to use Promethean Princess to revive your Snake Eyes Ash, you then can't use the Promethean Princess to revive the Flamebird, so you end up losing a few link material in the process because you either don't want to link off the Flamebird or you don't end with the Flamebird on the field. So it's a bit weird that way, but in this combo line, you don't have to worry about that. You know why? Because you're not sending Snake Eyes Ash. You're sending Original Symbol Spoils. Why? Because Snake Eyes Doom Dragon is a Snake Eyes card. So because of that, we are allowed to use Original Symbol Spoils to shuffle back the Doom Dragon back into the extra deck. And that way we can add Snake Eye Ash directly to the hand. And as you know, of course we haven't normal summon yet. This deck doesn't use its normal summon at all. So, you know, we can freely normal summon the Snake Eye Ash now. And then Snake Eye Ash is going to add Poplar. And now we do the Snake Eyes combo this way. And this is much better because we don't even need to use Promethean Princess to start this. So we're going to special Poplar. And Poplar is going to add the other temple, and since we're going to lose this temple anyways, you might as well just use Snake Eyes Ash to send the temple, and then special summon Oak from deck, and then Oak, special summon Ash, and here I'll place Divine Temple, place Snake Eye Diabellstar, just in case if for some reason they held in the beer for this long, you know, you might as well play around it by placing the Snake Eye Temple here. But yeah, now we're gonna use Oak, and we're not gonna send Snake Eye Diabellstar because we actually don't need that many bodies. We actually have plenty of bodies, but we're gonna send Linkuriboh, and we're gonna special summon Flamberge from deck. And now you're going to link your Poplar and your Snake Eyes Ash into IP Masquerena. So you put them in grave, and then you're going to trigger Poplar effect. It will Poplar place itself. And now you're going to link Flamberge plus Sequence into Promethean Princess. And then the Flamberge is going to trigger, and it's going to revive Ash plus Oak. And now you're gonna Promethean Princess, revive the Flamberge. And the zone looks a little bit funny, but it's okay. So this is still doable. We're going to link into Sunlight Wolf using Promethean Princess plus either Ash plus Oak, doesn't really matter which one. I'll use Oak. And we're just doing it because this is free. Like the Sunlight Wolf isn't necessary in this combo, but like you might as well get free value out of this along the way. So now we're gonna use Linkuriboh to sack that Snake Eyes Ash, special summon to the Sunlight Wolf zone, Sunlight Wolf, add back the Oak for follow-up. And now link IP Masquerena, Linkuriboh, Beatrice, oh shit, into a... Okay, you know what? This actually still works. It's pretty much the same board. Like, you can just imagine that this Appaloosa just has an extra material instead. So it was a 4-match Appaloosa instead of a 3-match Appaloosa. But we do have the Sunlight Wolf still, so like, I mean, the Sunlight Wolf is okay to end on too. You know, we could potentially add something else on our opponent's turn as well. It's not that big of a deal, okay? So, anyways, you're going to Flamberge, place the IP Masquerena in your spell and trap zone. And here's something that's really neat. So like this is the most important part I wanted to show you. This is the most obscene part of the combo. So you're gonna Snake Eye Diabellstar, put the Snake Eye Ash in the back row, and extra deck is glowing because we can special summon Snake Eyes Doom Dragon again by sending Poplar plus Ash. Because guess what? The summon of Doom Dragon is not a once per turn at all. It just says must be summoned by sending 2 face-up monsters from your spell and trap zone to the graveyard. Does not say you can only special summon this once per turn. So in fact, this entire combo, like the key part of this combo is that we started this combo by summoning Doom Dragon, we put it back with OSS so we can search Ash, and then we summon Doom Dragon again after we put it back. So that way we can make a Photon Lord with the Die Bellstar plus the Doom Dragon. So yeah, now you have, with just any Millennium card, literally any Millennium card, you end on Photon Lord, Flamberge with IP in the back row, Princess Engrave, plus a 4 material Appaloosa, or if you're stupid like me, you have a 3 material Appaloosa with a Sunlight Wolf on the field. Which, you know what, it's for all intents and purposes that's perfectly fine. Like, it doesn't I highly doubt the last Appaloosa in the gate is honestly gonna make much of a difference. To be honest, if you get this far, you're probably gonna win most of the time anyway. So yeah, that's why the Millennium Engine is actually a better starter than the Fiendsmith Engraver itself, and Beatrice, man, this card is gonna this is the whole reason Millennium, like, all of these broken shit still works. Like, dog, we gotta do something about this card. So yeah, if you haven't already, feel free to give the Millennium Engine a try for yourself and see if you like it better than the Azamina cards for your own deck. And Snake Eyes isn't the only deck that's playing the Millennium cards to great success either. As I mentioned before, White Forest is also playing this too. In fact, there was a Millennium White Forest deck in the top 10 of Radio Duels last season as well. So yeah, and even if you have no interest in playing any of these decks, at least, you know, get to know that Snake Eyes decks and, you know, White Forest decks are playing a new engine in their deck, and just don't be jump scared when you see this played against you, because this engine is legit.